So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Donny Chain Gang with me, Matt Payne. We're live from the Full Speed Events Studios down in the old beer cellar once again on the last of the rides this week, which is the penultimate week of the Donny Chain Gang before we go for a summer break. For those of you that missed out on the news, yes, we are taking a break. It is unheard of, I know, in these days of 24/7 streaming, etc. However, Russ and myself are going to have a break of a few months over the summer when there's loads of real life rides on, there's sunshine out there, and not only that, there's lots more events as well. So don't forget, we will be back in September. Next week is the last week. However, before that, we have the ride today. And the ride today is on Casse-Pattes in France, one of our favourite routes, one of Russ's favourite routes. It's quite an entertaining course, and we'll show you those details in a second. Before we do that, I've got to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been looking after the Chain Gang, all the members of the DCG gang. They've been absolute stars. And, of course, everybody who's come on and ridden on the Chain Gang, and you, of course, for watching. So, big thank you from myself, from Russ. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of our red beacons. They've been working really hard all the way over the last 2 years of Chain Gang looking after everybody. That role has evolved over the years, so great to see how that has improved. We are really looking forward to next week. That's going to be an OTE week to round off some great giveaways for members of the DCG gang, and the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club have been absolute stars. They've kept the show on the road and, of course, kept the wheels turning in Zwift. And as we've done more and more, as we've invested more and more, obviously, in the equipment here, then that's translated, hopefully, in a better experience for you. Don't forget, you can get in touch with us, and that's matt@fullspeedevents.com. You can, of course, get hold of us on Facebook, on Strava, on Zwift. My tag just on the side, literally just there. At Matt Fixer Payne, you can get hold of me on there pretty much anywhere, anytime, any place. Now, one man who we're not going to get hold of straight away is going to be Russ. That's simply because he's having 1 or 2 tech issues at the moment. And that means that although he's there and ready to ride, and I can actually just see him just on the screen over there, it is going to be a case that we'll jump into him later. So we're going to go straight over to the map and show you where we're heading today. So we're in France, we're in Casse-Pattes, we've got a lead-in of 0.9k, and we work our way from the pens on the left-hand side of the screen and go through the Marina Sprint Arch. We do 2 full laps of 23 kilometres, giving us 46.9 as our finishing marker. So you can just see the blue dot goes through the start line now from those pens out around the island. All this essentially flat. We have a couple of climbs, a couple of sprints. The climbs, the red sectors. The first one that the riders will hit is the Aqueduct KOM, and then the Petite KOM follows, which is bigger and longer despite its name. 290 metres of elevation. Andy Hawes is our top-class red beacon. Andy, of course, doing number on the way through. And Russ, our yellow beacon. Now, let's show you what that looks like when we translate that to the profile courtesy of VeloViewer. A massive thank you to Ben Lowe and all of the team, to John and all the gangs in the team at VeloViewer. Their graphics, their data, absolutely critical for us behind the scenes to make sure that we got all of the details for you. So you can see we start off on the central section, going from right to left at the bottom of the screen. We head out around the island. That is the cloverleaf shape between 3 and 4k. We then go into town. Now the climbs 12 to 13k is a critical point on the course, because that is when we got the Aqueduct KOM, and then we have the equally important bit of climb, which is the big section to the right-hand side of your screen. Going up from 16.5k right the way to 19.2. It is one of the real splitters of chain gangs as we go round, because this is where we find the speed absolutely hurtles upwards as the chain gang goes over the top and drops down. So from those yellow upslopes down to the blue descent slopes, it really does change just how the ride translates for our riders, and it is really a key that everybody plays the game, particularly at that point. That is a key marker on the way through. So Let's dive in. Let's jump into the ride here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne, and lots of riders, and a bit of a who's who in some ways down on the start line, because I've definitely seen at least 2 of our yellow beacons down there. It may well be that there are 3, potentially 4 on the ride tonight. We'll have a little look. Only one yellow beacon lit up. That is, of course, Russ. So let's dive in with the Donny Chain Gang live here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. So our riders just making the way down on to the start-finish straight. You can just see we're focused up above Andy Hawes. If we take a little look from Andy's point of view. So in through the start-finish line we go. And our riders are making the way through that start-finish line in the Marina Sprint area. This is the critical part of the lap when we come around at the end of lap number 2. But the gang looking like it's all pretty much together on the way around. It's going to be key to do that. Just watching what's happening at the back of that pack. A few people, I think, with drop-out issues. A few late joining riders as well. But looks like pretty much everybody together at the moment. George Cooper just off the back of the bunch, so I'm sure George will be pushing his way back into a position very quickly. So George, after getting that big toe in on Tempest Future on Tuesday, in camera shot, and you can just see that yellow pillar from our beacon. That's Russ. Just shining, and looks like a few of the bodies are back. Just dropping back. Andy Hawes, our red beacon, just keeping an eye on proceedings, just seeing who's doing what at the back of the shots. But you can see just coming out from that marina and starting to make our way underneath the old bridge, underneath the Green Wildlife Bridge that is there now, and just starting to head out of town. George back in with the pack, and it looks like pretty much everybody together at the moment. So it looks like those riders are back together in the pack. George, having made contact, just going to settle itself down. I think George and Tim just dealing with a tech issue. Just in with Keith Hayward, who's just charging his way into the back of the group. Let's drop some stats in for Keith. So Keith just pushing his way down in to the gang. Looks like Tim Cooper having to jump back in, having a few issues getting in and out there by the look of it. So I think Tim will be charging his way back in. That's one of the reasons why we always make sure we have this nice steady start. So making sure everybody gets back in together again. So Tim Cooper just charges his way onto the back. I've got to say a massive thank you to Tim. Tim, one of the real stars of the Chain Gang. He has been really instrumental in making sure that we can cover everything, bring you all of these great images and full high definition on the way through. And Tim's tech really does help make everything work. Thank you very much, Tim. It's really, really appreciated. One man who's always there to help people, it is Craig Herring, just dropping at the back of the gang in that Downing Cycling coaching kit. And interesting, Craig choosing disc wheel rear and a deep rim front. Andy Hawes, our red beacon, just keeping an eye. He knows that the gang will get everybody together pretty much of its own accord. Doesn't need too much TLC and too much fine-tuning on the way through. So let's have a little look who's on the gang tonight. It's a compact and bijou gang, as you would expect, as we're running in towards the end of the bad weather and start to head into the good weather. We've got a few people just starting to join. Andy Horse here. Andy is our Red Beacon Horse Tours, the man behind the routing of the tour, behind the routing of the women's tour, and of course a key shaker and mover when it comes to all things tour series as well. Andy, one of the real nice guys to cycling as well. Always a pleasure to meet up and always a pleasure to have a chat with Andy. And, of course, Andy, a Pinarello ambassador in that La Squadra kit. And Andy out leading on a Wednesday night, the La Squadra Rise. Make sure you jump on one of those when Andy's leading. He's a great leader, a great communicator, and there is a reason why he's one of our favourite Red Beacons. In fact, we've got two of our very favourite Red Beacons, actually almost side by side here, because Greg Billsworth was our beacon on Tuesday. Had a really quiet day until it all went boom, and then brought the gang in at the back and did a great job as well. So great to have Greg in with us. We can jump up to Chris Pritchard. Chris coming across from Ross LC. Great to see that Chris is on the gang once again. Another of our regular riders, another fast finisher as well. Chris Ball in here. Chris, of course, nursing a polyscaphoid, I think it is, that he's chipped. I've got the proof of that. I could actually show you two very different hands. I've got big lumps in one of my hands from chipping it and not letting it reset properly. But on a red Pinarello there, another rider who goes out on that on the ride. Let's have a little drop back in. You can see that Neil Morn is back in with us. Neil, one of our real regulars. Ready for the start on big sprinting Neil, very, very quick, very fast, and likely to be in at the kill if we see that kick in. Speaking of sprinters, it's super strong sprinter Sonia. Good to have Sonia with us, a real supporter from day one. In fact, the very first member of the DCG gang when we very first set it up in January back in 2021. Sonia was the very first member. Sonia, thank you so much for your support, and great to see you in and on the ride today. Making the most of having some flat starts to dive around the bunch on the way through. Now, Owen Davis in here, John Doe on Facebook. Owen, another of our regulars, going for the deep rims, and he's a Cervelo as well. Another very, very quick man. Whilst we've got captive audience, he's going to be riding up Selby or York from Barnsley on Saturday if somebody wants to join him for 120k-ish of riding. So if you fancy 120k up to or Selby York direction, so basically nice and flat, super quick, and rolling, not quick necessarily on your legs, but John heading that way, so great to see he's on there now. Just keeping a check here. So Steve Cannon is not out and about next week. Steve, we're going to jump in and find you somewhere tonight and make sure we've got some camera shots of Steve. Steve not in on the gang next week. Just trying to work out where everybody ends up because the pack got rolling around very much at the moment. So one man who's another of our regulars in on the Peugeot kit. It is Keith Richards. Keith in the colours of that Peugeot kit. Another of our regulars. So great to have him in here. Keith, one of our regular fastmen and definitely a quick rider when it comes to going fast or just in terms of looking after everybody. Now in with the infamous in his own lunchtime, the man himself, it is Kai Hurst. Kai keeps everybody entertained, and got to say, great to have Kai on board. A member of the DCG gang, so supporting the chain gang as well. In that red and black kit with the deep rims. A man who knows his numbers and knows how to ride the gang and could compose literary work. So good to see Kai back in. Now, let's have a little drop back in and through in to Mr. Williams at the moment. So good to have Steve Williams with us. Steve, who has found a resurgence in his speed. And that is all to do with jumping on the chain. So good to have Steve in here. I think going to be interested to see how he gets on tonight with the ride tonight. Let's have a little run through. John Garford, one of our Royal Marines, join us again. John, another regular on DCG guy on the chain gang as well. And John, another rider who we've seen improvements week after week. And great to see our Armed Forces riders in on the chain gang as well. Now, it's fairly random where we're landing at the moment. I'm not actually trying to land anywhere. Mr. Forbes, a winner on the DCG gang prize draw. So great to see him in here. Definitely one of our regulars, and James, a winner on the DCG gang, a supporter of the Donny Chain gang, and great to have him on board as well. Keep wandering our way through. I'm liking this. It's a kind of random day on the gang. Mr. Singleton now, Andy, another of the riders who we know is a regular rider on the Chain Gang. He's also, of course, a very keen Swift racer. He's definitely a rider who we know is quick and a supporter of all things cycling. Great to see Andy back on the Chain Gang these last couple of weeks. And Andy, of course, another rider who's supported the Chain Gang from really pretty much from the very early days. So great to see Andy in with us. Ian Bale here, Ian, another of our Red Beacons, a regular Red Beacon on the Chain Gang, a Bolsover rider. Got to say a big thank you to all of the Bolsover District Gang. And good to see Ian in here. Ian, of course, a quick rider and somebody else we know who could figure very strongly in at the finish. Just in with Simon Martin at the moment. Simon, another of our regular riders. It really is a who's who of regular riders in here. And he gets bored of saying regular riders. He's definitely a rider who is with us time and time again. And good to see that we've got him on board, tucked in nicely in the gang. So at the moment, just heading out through the Varangia countryside, working our way around. George Cooper, well, we did feature George earlier on. George, one of our young riders, a rider not afraid to go back and help lots of the Chain Gang out. Very talented rider, regular on the national podium, on and off-road, and looks like he's tucked in nicely in this group at the moment. Hopefully won't have any tech issues. Big chase on by George last time, but definitely a name to watch for the future. Next rider in is going to be Mr. Osman, a quick rider, one of the riders who really is often pushing up at the front, Russell Osman. Again, another of our Chain Gang riders who is on week after week, ride after ride. So great to see Russell on. Thank you very much for joining us once again. Mr. Raccoon is in here, a certain Mr. Watson, Andy Watson on here, and looks like once again in that Pinarello Squadra kit, going for the disc wheels. Another very fast rider. This man is absolute class on wheels when he gets riding and he puts his foot down. Known as Mr. Raccoon, of course, Rocket Raccoon. He is in real life Mr. Watson and a very quick rider indeed. So looks like we're going to be into Mr. Langmead next. Rich Langmead, another of our regular riders, very quick finisher. Always up in the top quarter, top third of the riders. Another rider who we know can really mix it up with the best at the front. Just keeping those revs nice and steady, sitting at 78 revs per minute at the moment. So now a rider who really has grown up on the Chain Gang, formerly known as the Young, now known as Just. It is Tom Lindley. Tom, a rider who we know is going to be in the kill at the finish. Somebody who has progressed, and we've got to say a massive thank you, probably on Tom's behalf as well as ours, for all of the support that the Chain Gang's given Tom. Looking forward to see how he progresses as a rider over the next few years, and certainly somebody who I've had the pleasure of riding with in real life as well. And show of Pines, a quick rider, and definitely someone who has progressed now, taking his first win this year on the Donny Chain Gang as well. And he has indeed got faster since he shaved, since he had his haircut. Definitely not a case of the Samsons. Now in with Wolfdale Phil, another winner on the DCG Gang giveaways, another member of the DCG Gang. Great to have him on board. And looking like he's ready for action. Was again Wolfdale Phil, another of our regulars, and a winner on the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club prize draws. Good to see you back on and riding on that what could be considered a good bike today. And that's the Zwift concept bike, aka the Tron bike as we all know it. So let's have a little bit more of a rundown. Mr. Connolly in here, a man who's who was not believed by family when it came to knowing exactly that what was going on, that he could ride against real people out all around the world and be commentated on as well. So we're just going to take a little bit of a look. Good to see Mr. Conley is in here. Now, just working our way through it. There is a lot of riders. We're going to try and cover as many as we can on this little run through the flatlands, because we do have a little bit of time. And it's not going to happen next week, I can guarantee, because we've got some real busy routes. Now, Bobby Mason. Bobby Mason, a real chain gang addict, a really nice guy in real life as well, from down south. We don't hold that against him, because he actually lives not far from where one of my parents grew up and lived for a long, long time. And definitely one of the nice guys of cycling. Great to see him out and riding, a regular out riding. In fact, with Andy Horse, who we showed quite early on. Bobby, again, improving all the time. And you can always see a group in and around it. Now, just going to jump in. We've just landed on our random lands with one of the people who has made the chain gang happen and has been instrumental in making the WOW DCG, the Women's Only Wednesday Donny Chain Gang as well. It's the WOW DCG Yellow Beacon. It is Emma, who is riding for the Aeonian race team, racing on Tuesday, despite recovering from COVID, scoring points for the Aeonian. I think it is the Banditas or the Bravas. They have so many teams. The number one race team on Swift is the Aeonian race team, and our number one rider when it comes to the WOW DCG it is Emma. Emma on the recovery from COVID, and of course coached by the Downing cycling team, by Dean and the gang. And good to see that we've got Emma back on the chain gang. Couldn't miss the last few chain gangs. Needed to get one in despite racing on a Tuesday. And got to say a massive thank you to all the support from Emma, doing a lot of work in the background as well. So great to see that we've got Emma back on the gang, and a big thanks to Emma for all of her work in keeping everything on there. I'm not creeping, I just occasionally have to say how it is, Mr. Herring. Always feels like my turn to make tea, and I very rarely do. Mostly because people don't like beans on toast 7 days a week. Right. It is Tracy Seeley next. What are we going to say about Tracy other than Terminator 2.0? A rider who is, I think, probably got more addiction to Zwift than anybody else on here, just about. But I have got to say, amazing stuff from Tracy. A real inspiration, a absolute grafter, a real machine. Taking her first fastest female rider on the gritty weeks when she was sprinting in to the line down in the jungle. Also, one of the people instrumental in putting together some in-real-life meetups for the DCG gang. So make sure you go on the Facebook page, Tracy Finn, along with Keith Richardson and Craig. I think there are key 4 people on there. Make sure you have a look on there. They're not official DCG gangs. They're not Donny Chain Gang riders, but they are a chance to meet up with lots of like-minded riders from the Donny Chain Gang to put faces to the avatars in real life, and hopefully going to get a chance to jump on one of those myself throughout the course of the summer. Although it's shaping up to be rather busy at the moment, it has to be said. But just got to take a note out of the Terminator's book and keep on riding. Okay, let's jump on. I'm loving this random sort of hit a button and talk about somebody. We've had Mr. Martin. Ben Cokin. Ben, definitely a winner on the DCG gang. Members giveaways. Ben, another fast rider as well. And Ben has improved throughout the duration of the gang. Great to see Ben on board once again. And Ben, not always on every ride every week, but pretty much on every week. And I've lost count of how many. The man who knows his bikes as well, gone for a disc wheel and a deep rim in there in that black Zwift kit with the grey cross on his back. We're just going to get a look in here. So good to have Ben on board, been a member of the DCG gang as well. A big thank you to Ben. Really appreciated. Next up, we were just talking about him. His ears must have been burning. It is Vin Donahoe, a royal Pied Piper of bringing people onto the game. The man responsible for Just Tom Lindley, amongst others. And a rider I've met in real life. Also, one of the team putting together those meetups and those rides in real life. Fast rider, quick rider, and making his way in towards the sprint. So great to see that he is on the chain gang. It looks like he is on a good day today. Heart rate only at 81 beats per minute, and always fighting into the finish. Great to see Vin every time you're out in real life as well, as the chain gang goes in and through the town. So let's jump in with another rider. We're in with Colin Bell. And that is Beefy from Cycleways, as he's known. Colin, one of our real regular riders, a fast sprinter, a regular good guy, a Facebook storyline that is always entertaining, out and about on his travels. It was great to catch up with him when we saw him up at the Sunderland cyclocross as well, and amongst other places, and always great to see him and Sharon. Great to see Colin on the chain gang once again. In fact, I don't think there's all that many when Colin hasn't been on. But Beefy Colin from Cycleways in the gang. Don't forget, of course, make sure you support your local bike shops. Remember, of course, nameless, faceless internet giants very rarely sponsor teams, look after riders. Colin definitely doing that, and great to have Colin on the chain gang once again. So another rider who has fought his way back into fitness and finished very strongly on Tuesday. It is Dr. D, Rowan Dubash. And the gang of Rowan joined us this year, and another rider who has progressed all the way through the year. Came up to have a ride with riders in real life as well. And Dr. D, one of the real nice guys for cycling, a rider who has definitely suffered when it's been tough when the COVID hit, but a real workhorse, the chain gang, as well as in real life. So great to see Rowan back on board once again. Okay, let's take another jump in. It's going to be another random jump in. Going to be in with Mr. Oliver. It is Phil Oliver. Phil, one of our real fast riders. Definitely somebody who we know is going to be up in the mixed top 10 rider regularly, particularly when it goes uphill. Really can put in some serious power as well. Speaking of hills, just starting to make our way up towards the Aqueduct KOM, and the riders just squeezing through. They'll quickly regroup, I'm sure. And Phil Oliver tucked in nicely, keeping those watts per kilo down. Let's take a look at the views as our riders come in and through over the Aqueduct KOM, the World of Zwift, the French world. A great scene for a bike ride, got to say, very true to real life as well. There are plenty of places in France that look very similar to this. Maybe not all condensed in quite such a small space, because you don't see the Ventoux that close to the coastline. So the gang together coming up on to the Aqueduct, coming in to the KOM archway. Our riders making the way in and through. You can just see our two beacons on the back together. That's Andy and Russ as the riders make the way in and through. So round the turn they go, and heading down on to the descent, just watching our riders make the way through. So the gang knitted together quite nicely. Looks like Russ just drifting off the back, being helped back on by Andy at the moment. So just I think a dropping what's from Russ on his way over the top there. Got assistance from another of our real regular riders and a real fast man. Somebody who I'm really surprised has not taken lots of wins on the Donny Chain Gang. It is Simon Booth. Simon, one of our real regular riders on the Chain Gang, a real fearsome rider, and can be known to put in those sort of long range attacks. Definitely one of the riders we know will go back and work as well, and great to have Simon on board. Definitely one of the quick men of cycling, and a bit of a beast when it comes to real life as well. So great to have Simon in with us. I'm not sure how many he has actually missed, but it is single digits. So at the moment, the gang just starting to break up a little bit on this descent. I'm just going to take a little look at those numbers on the front. Now, they're all sitting around about 1.7s, 1.6s. So the back of the bunch should close up pretty quickly. The front group is all sat sub 2. That means that the rest of the gang should work their way back together again pretty quickly. So Andy Hall's just working his way towards the back of the gang. Just jump in with Ted. Ted, one of our riders from day one, and a regular leader on Zwift as well. And definitely great to see Andrew Edwards. Ted, as he's known to everybody, Ted having done a long stint as well as a moderator on the Facebook page for us as well. We are going to do some rotating round of roles just to give people a break on the way through, but good to see Ted on here. Ted, another regular rider, definitely somebody who encourages lots of riders and always comes on, even if he's only got a quick hour, he'll always jump on board, always happy to help out, to look after the rest of the riders. So a massive thank you for Ted for all of his support on the way through. So just in with Mr. Keyworth, Andy Keyworth here in the blue, traditionally in that dark blue kit. And good to see he's back on the gang. Another rider who we've seen improve week on week since he's joined the gang. Great to see Andy in here, and been up in the mix right at the front on the go regularly. So good to see he's on board. Looks like everybody at the moment, they are steadily working the way through. Looks like our yellow beacon just keep for the WOW DCG, just keeping that pace as nice and smooth as Russ. Just I think has got another dropout. So tech definitely not Russ's day with the tech today. Russ with limited time to jump back in again, so the group just holding steady to allow Russ time to get back on again. So Russ just squeezing back on. Looks like Craig Genther going back. Russ, of course, with tons of power. Let's face it, if there's one man that you know can get himself back onto the gang, it's Russ Downing as he comes onto the wheels of Craig Genther. Craig, another of our regular riders, always going back. Looks like Tom Lindley doing the same there, and Rich Orrell. So Craig Genther in some great company here. Craig Genther riding in the Downing Cycling Coaching Works jersey. And great to see these riders working together with Russ. And the strong riders quickly dropping back and helping those riders who maybe just need that little bit of assistance. In this case, Russ with clearly a tech issue, dropping off the back of the gang, just holding that steady pace as we come in now on to the climb. So just waiting to see what the instructions are from Russ, who's made his way up there. If he can type them out and get them out on screen, I suspect it's going to be to hold with the yellow beacon at the moment. So they're going on to the climb. Looks like pretty much everybody all together. As they go up onto the climb. Right, just doing a little bit of... got a few more people to hit quite quickly. Just in with Miss Cookie. This is Sarah Grimshaw. Good to see Sarah on board. Just hitting the half-hour point at the moment. Sarah, one of our real regular riders on the WOW DCG and the Donny Chain Gang supporter for a long time. If you see her in real life, you'll know she's an absolute scream as well. Brilliant rider, really good technical rider on the mountain bike as well. Fearless when it comes to descending and tech. You still need to have pre-ridden it. She'll throw herself pretty much down anything on to wheels, and a great addition to the gang. Full of banter as well, and great to see that we've got Sarah on board. Miss Cookie, absolute superstar. Could be considered a little bit mad, Ted. That's not very polite, but definitely I would agree. She's definitely good. Oh, that might have been another conversation, but it definitely applies to Sarah. So good to have Sarah on board once again, and making her way over the slopes of the Petite KOM at the moment. So our riders on to the slopes. Looks like the gang are riding it well together. Now, one man who it would be very remiss of us not to do some serious thank yous to is this man. He's actually being called into action on Tuesday because for the Donny Chain Gang this year, we have had 2 yellow beacons in the Tuesdays and Thursdays. Russ has been our standard that has been setting the pace pretty much all year. However, when he's not been available, this man, Jimmy Allen, the legendary Wolf, is the man who has taken the helm. Notorious for his random choosing of, or is it slide choosing of the points when the trigger is pulled and riders are released. A long-range attack specialist, and definitely somebody who is very unpredictable as to when he's going to put the pressure down. Also a regular leading rides on Zwift on a Saturday, to which he's invited plenty of the Donny Chain Gang riders. Very fast man in real life, an absolute superstar, and a mega pleasure to work with. I have to say that I can ring Jimmy on zero notice, and he has always got it dialed in, even when he's been landed it randomly. He is definitely a yellow beacon. I can guarantee we'll be on the end of that phone line, and we'll have done some serious homework as well, even if it's only for a few seconds before jumping on the bike. He knows where the courses go, he knows how to lead, and an absolute pleasure to work with, and looking forward, hopefully, to catching up with Jimmy fairly soon in real life. And I must owe him a pint of Stella, or about 10 on the way through. So a massive thank you from me and from everybody else, Jimmy. Looking forward to working with you on Tuesday. Seems how he's our leader on Tuesday. Russ back for the very final one on Thursday next week. Yeah, definitely a Chuck Norris super sub in Jimmy Allen, that's for sure. So the gang on the climb. Good to see we've got Mr. Day in here. Another of the regular riders riding for Brixton Cycles. He's one of our sprint riders. Currently just doing a little bit of sprint workout. Those are about 60 revs per minute out of the saddle. 50 at the moment. You can just see the big gear just pushing his way up this climb and riding in that Born Treasure. Everyone's going on about classic kit. That's a Keith Born Treasure jersey on there. So good to see Mr. Day in with us, another regular rider, and great to have him on board once again. So cheers, buddy. Oh yeah, did I mention Jimmy Allen's written a book or 2 about how to go uphill? And do you know what? He once rode with some famous bloke who went uphill quite quick and gave Lance Armstrong a hard time. What was he called? Oh yeah, that bloke, Jan Ulrich. Yeah, whatever happened to him? Oh yeah, he was class. I'm loving the legends already started about Jimmy Allen. It's not taken long. Okay, speaking of legends, we are going to jump in with another absolute legend, Stefano Borelli. Now, gotta say, as an absolute fan of Nonnas, before we ever worked with them, it has to be said, I probably spent far too much money in Nonnas. I hope you're not listening to this, anybody who's in our household. However, Emma is probably the one who's in the most agreement with that. A regular spot for riders from Russ, Ben Swift, Connor, you name it, the whole of the peloton have a habit of going to Nonnas. It's been a regular venue for cycling events, and they have supported the Donny Chain Gang Supporters Club, the DCG gang, with giveaways. They look after Donny Chain Gang riders. If you are in Sheffield, you're wondering where to go eat. If you want to go online and order some of the best food that is there, please, 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 make sure you go see Stefano at Nonnas. If he's not there, don't worry. The entire gang will look after you. They are an absolute pleasure to go see and go say hello to. And we've got Stefano with us, Stefano Borelli from Nonnas, the manager of Nonnas. A massive thank you to him, and of course to Maurizio, who is currently not on the chain gang tonight, but another of our regular supporters. And Maurizio, owner of Nonnas, another keen supporter of the Donny chain gang. So a big thank you to them. Right, let's get this helicopter up in the sky. Let's see how spread out we are. Remember, we need to be back together when we get in and around the turn over the top. But at the moment, the gang holding the pace together, despite very few instructions, because Russ is having tech issues today. The gang is doing what it does, and I'm sure there'll be a few shouts out of getting it together before we get to the top turn. So the gang are needing to do a very fast reform. If you're on the front, guys, ease off. If you're on the back, squeeze in. Any gaps now will be amplified on the descent. The front taking that right-hand turn. If there is more than one bike length between you and the rider in front, you need to squeeze on. If you're on the front, please do not push into the downhill. Our riders behind are going to have a big problem if it goes. So on the front, guys, you need to ease off. If you're on the back, you will need to squeeze on, because you're going to find that those gaps will amplify. They'll be magnified by the descent. You can see currently 4 groups. If we can get this back together again, it will be a minor miracle. However, this descent is very, very fast indeed, so it is all about making sure that it comes back together. It looks like Sonia Inslee with the Amazon man causing the problems. Now Sonia's a fast rider. She's putting it in a big sprint here to try and get back on again. Currently behind, it looks like Miss Cookie and Andy Hawes from the squad dropping back, but they're going to need to try not to distance Sonia. Sonia's putting in some serious power. She's got it down to 17 seconds at the moment. But Sonia's going to need some serious help. If you are in the front group, guys, just ease off. If you're in the middle group round Russ, just be prepared to ease back off when you hit that group, because you have got riders out of the back of the main group. And looks like issues on the way through. Our beacon just holding at the back here. And looks like we've got Miss Cookie along with Andy Hawes tucked in here. And likely to be... So Andy Hawes is shouting out for Sonia to get back in together. So the front needing to piano. Looks like we've got Tim Cooper just easing off, just waiting to give a hand behind. So looks like a few splits from the front group, which is almost all together. We're going to try and zoom out here. So if you look on the map, top right-hand side of your TV screen, you can see that the yellow beacon group at the moment just rolling down. That group up on the front just nicely spread out across the road. The rest of the riders behind are squeezing on. However, 12 seconds, 11 seconds at the moment. It is the group of Tim Cooper, Miss Cookie, and Andy Hawes, the red beacon. 12 seconds behind, and closing that gap down is Sonia Inslee. Sonia on her own. Looks like Ted just going to be coming back to go give a hand at the back as well. So if we've got some strong riders, we're going to need to send them back to get everyone back together again. We know this climb splits the group. Sonia at the moment in the hot seat, having to chase on. Andy Hawes is at 10 seconds. Craig Herring's coming back. Look at this. This is what we love to see. Craig Herring, Chris Pritchard, Craig Genther coming back. Looks like we've got plenty of bodies. So, guys, we've got riders behind Tim Cooper, Miss Cookie, Andy Hawes, along with Sonia Inslee. Inslee is doing some serious pushing at the back to try and get back into the group at 4 watts per kilo. Who else is coming back? George Cooper's coming back. Thank you, George. You're an absolute superstar. So it looks like the will of the gang is to pull Sonia into the group. Andy just holding it in now. Here we go. Let's get Sonia back on to the group. Mission has been set. If you choose to accept it, can we bring everybody back together again? Sonia Inslee, interrupted by the Amazon man. We hate Amazon deliveries when they turn up at the wrong time. Let's face it, very convenient, but... So, here we go. Sonia Inslee on the way through. Picks up Andy Hawes on the way. Next up will be Miss Cookie. He's just in front. George Cooper, Jeff Saysal coming back. Craig Herring, Craig Genther, Ted, Chris Pritchard, Chris Canham. Real roll of honour. Looks like George Cooper coming back as well. So both Coopers are rolling back as well. Bobby Mason just dropping back. So this is where we start to see the group forming and picking up riders. Remember, the leaders is coming into the 1 lap to go. A marker that looks like the gang doing a great job pulling Sonia back into the fold after those issues. So Craig Herring now, the first rider to get picked up. He's going to start to put some assistance in there. This is where Sonia's got to really sit on those wheels. And they're going to form a bunch. Jeff Saysar, one of our real regulars. Some great pictures of Jeff over at Nonna's as well with all of the family. So Jeff, another of our regulars on the chain gang, a man who tries to predict the trigger point. So the orange banner next time round will be the finishing line. But this is where the gang are coming in through. So look at this massive bunch of riders coming in. These are the riders who are helping Sonia get back on. This is the chain gang in action. This is why the Donny chain gang is so legendary, because everybody helps out. We've got people coming back, and you can see this group starting to work together, picking up a rider after rider. And what they've got to be careful is they don't spit people out of the back on the way through. So at the moment you can just see that Ted is our rider sitting on the back. He's got to squeeze to get onto this group unless he's climbing off at the out. I think Ted's going to be jumping off. So Ted leaving the party, which means that Andy Hawes is now going to be technically our rear rider. So here we go. Come on, Andy, keep squeezing. Time to squeeze on, buddy. I know you've been on the road sorting out the tour. Here he goes. Look at that, 10 watts per kilo out of Andy straight away. He might have been sat in the car plenty, but he knows how to wind it up. Bobby Mason now starts to kick in to go give a hand as well. So Bobby, Andy, and Co are starting to work together. Andy's just like a rocket, just flying up there. He wishes he could get around the tour recce's that quick, I tell you. Right. Let's see if this gang can pull itself together. We're already, I think, just about good enough to get into a slightly closer map. Here we go. So Andy, Bobby, looks like Jeff Saysel just squeezing. They are going to work the way in. So Saysel is just at the back. Ted's not going to be rejoining. Making the way in. The gang on the front, let's have a little look at those numbers. They're down at 1.8s, 1.9s, 2s. They're not going mad on the front. They're just keeping it steady to allow the group behind to come on and to squeeze in. They're down at, I think it's going to be about 5 seconds off the main pack. So they've got to keep squeezing together. So remember, our beacons trying to pull the group in from the back. The red beacon is Andy Hawes. The gang are starting to squeeze their way together to pull themselves up to the front. Andy Hawes, Bobby Mason pushing out nearly 4 watts per kilo. Here we go. They're squeezing to get in to the gang. So who's back? George Cooper just sitting there putting a pace. This is when we get a lot of people coming back, it gives a big advantage, but it's very easy to get spat out the back of that big gang and just lose those wheels on the way through. You've got to be so attentive. Now Ted just calling it a day. Good to see on here now. Let's have a look. This is the nearest, the rearmost rider. You can just see just starting to squeeze on, and the chain gang almost here. So we're going to see the red beacon pull the gang on. It looks like Jimmy Allen just squeezing back to pick up Jeff Saysel here. So it is indeed Jimmy Allen and Tim Cooper just bringing Saysel, just dropping back to give a bit of aero assistance. Andy Keyworth doing the same. Here we go. We're nearly all together. Have we made it? Not quite yet. They're almost on. Can we get this back to a proper blob? Is it going to be a nice, sticky, gooey joiner, Jeff? Come on, keep paddling, buddy. Don't drop off the back the moment that we almost get it together. Right, nearly there. Mr. Keyworth, come on, squeeze on time. Let's get it as one group. Brilliant effort for the comment. So Jeff squeezing on, and Keyworth going to just join in. We got Mr. Hawes on. He wanted him to be our last man sat on the bunch. Here's the bunch together. Almost. It's coming. It's coming. Do you know what? It's just taking this last little bit. Just really fighting to get back in together. Almost there, but not quite. Come on, Andy. Last little squeeze, buddy. Going to try and drop our way back through the gang here. So just in with Andy and Andy at the moment. Here we go. And they're together. Right, now they've got together. It's just got together. This is it. We have the bunch all back together again. Blimey. Took a little bit of doing. But you know what? Well worth it. The gang is back together again. Everybody working well at the moment. Yeah, now it's time to sit in and do not a lot. Great to see the gang are working well together. Everybody together at the moment. We are on 50 minutes of riding at the moment. So let's have a little bit of a look. We have Andy Hawes sat on the back of the gang. Craig Gent in there. Everybody working. The gang is back together again. 50 minutes of riding. 28 Ks done. The riders just weaving their way through around the twists and turns on the island before they head back over the bridge once again. Great to see everybody working together well. And what a gang. So one man we haven't featured yet is the one and only Russ Downing in his blue Bont shoes. And Russ at the moment, heart rate sub 90, having a relatively quiet time because the messages are not working on his one of his devices, which means he's going to do it old school. However, it does at least happen when the gang is so well controlled and so well behaved. It doesn't need much in the way of instructions, let's face it. They are absolutely on the button and doing the business on the way through. So everybody in together once again. So Sonia Inslee after that big chase, just sitting on the back of the pack quite rightly. After a massive chase like that, you definitely need to give your legs a rest and just hide out for a little while. Really important to get that recovery done. So just running in with Jimmy Allen at the moment. The riders making their way around the flatlands of France before we head back in, up into, as it was, the climbs. The Petit Aqueduct really the big kicker, and from there it's a very fast downhill from there into the finish. So it looks like the gang are well and truly together at the moment. Not going anywhere fast, just looks like all rolling around, enjoying the sunshine at the moment. It's been a very nice day. Lucky enough to get out on the mountain bike earlier around Pines with Indy, who definitely we discovered doesn't like the heat too much. He's definitely he likes laying it. He's not so keen on running around the woods in it. It has to be said now. The gang just pushing on at the moment and working well together. Just sitting in with our two beacons, Andy Hawes and Russ, just at the back of the pack. And look at that group. It really is all together at the moment as these riders roll around. And great pack, 58 riders in that group at the moment, according to the screen. Don't forget, of course, the numbers on the right-hand side not as fast as the roll round on the cameras. So 55 minutes of riding under the wheels of the pack at the moment. And the go has gone, so Russ calls the go. He's had that type for a while, I think, and he punches it. So the go has gone, and already you can just see the pace is up. It has exploded on the front of the group at the moment. And everybody's starting to string out very quickly indeed. So we're on the flatlands. We've got flat, and more flat for a long time yet. Looks like Kai Hurst going to be leading them along this section. And you can just see the gang has opened up now. Chris Ball looking for the bus. Not surprised with a busted up hand. So the riders are well and truly stretched out. You can see the predominance of the Downing Cycling Coastal Riders jersey up on the front. The pressure is on, and you can just see Varty really is pressurising. They're looking to try and get this broken up to get this gang thinned down a little bit at the moment. This turn of pace going up to nearly 5 watts per kilo has done a lot of damage. If we just zoom our map out again, you can just see the red beacon lots further back at the moment, but the chain gang has gone. The gang has opened up with Genther at the moment, not surprisingly right up in the mix at the front. George Cooper in the battle at the moment. Looks like Eddie Singleton up there, Tom Lindley. Looks like Jimmy Allen in the mix. Eddie Keyworth, Greg Pillsworth, Sean Ferron in the fight. Wharfdale Phil in here. It looks like Tracy Seeley has made the cut as well. So Tracy Seeley just making the cut. Looks like some serious work being done behind. I think that's going to be by our women's yellow beacon, who's currently just punching out nearly 8 watts per kilo just to get back on. I think got caught out at the back of that pack. So it looks like Emma not wanting to be distanced by that group has got to keep on pushing to get in. You can see the difference. So the guys on the front are doing about 4 to 5 watts per kilo. Emma's having to do nearly 6 or 8 watts per kilo to get into the group. And this is the power and the pace of the pack. If you get caught out by the pack, by that acceleration, and you get distance, you're in trouble. Come on, Em, time to push on here. You're not setting that slipstream yet. Really experienced rider, Emma, of course, one of the reasons she leads the WOW DCG, just tucks into that group as on the front again, the pressure comes on. So there's some sore legs after Tuesday. Those people that raced on Tuesday who were on the chain gang. Look at this, Herring, Donoghue and Genther, the 3 riders in the front there in that Downing Cycling Coast Riders jersey, and you can just see Simon Booth there in the red and white with the orange cap on. Varty coming up with the flat cap on. This group now have some distance. This is our leading group of riders, and you can see behind them as Kai just pushes on at the front here. The rest of the riders just hanging back a touch. And it's going to be a bit of a gap back. We're going to just see how far that gap is back behind. If we can get back to them, it takes a little bit of doing. 22 seconds. So Group 2. This is Group 2 at the moment. Group 2 is Steve Cannon, Owen Davis, Mr. Day, Richards and Borelli in there. They're Group 2. Group number 3 is Richards and Co. So Richards, Garford, Ryder. Looks like they're in Group 3. Then we've got 4 is going to be Lone Riders Mob. I think we're just going to take a steady look. So interested to see the red bus has formed at the back. So remember, this is about just making sure riding steady away. I think Mr. Ball just having to ease off those pedals. Sonia just tucked in there. The groups are well truly spread out. Group 1 now well up the road from group number 2, who we're riding with at the moment. So our rider's on the way through, and it looks like Miss Cookie jumping on the bus. Miss Cookie, for your attention. It's 1 hour of riding. 1 hour of riding complete, Miss Cookie. 1 hour of riding. That was Miss Cookie's unique and personalised 1 hour of riding done. Step away from the bike, Miss Cookie. Your time is up. Right, back to the front now. Personalised service available to all of our Dolly Chain Gang riders. Okay, in with the front group at the moment as the riders make their way in and through the town underneath the windmill and heading back out again very quickly indeed. Just riding in with Jimmy Allen as everybody sets new PBs on the way in and through. And the pressure is definitely on at the front. You can just see one or two riders losing contact behind. And looks like light green jerseys. Craig Genther getting a green sprint jersey on his way through. So has Tracy Seeley going in and through there. But it is Craig Herring who's on the offensive now. We've got a group of 4. Can they stay clear? They're going to get some sliding room going into the aqueduct climb. Varty, Herring, Hurst and Genther. Can any of these riders stay clear? The group behind Pillsworth and Booth, Cokin in there, Ferrin, Tracy Seeley, Emma, our Yellow Beacon in the WOW DCG in that group as well. And it's 6 seconds at the moment back to this pack. And just seeing one or two riders just struggling with that pace. I think we've just lost Wharfdale. Phil's just gone off the back of that group. The next group behind him, though, quite a way behind. We're not going to see him behind there at 44 seconds. Meanwhile, Group 2 on the road now. Everybody's just stepped down a place as the 4 riders have opened a gap of 7 seconds at the moment. It is Craig Genther, Kai Hurst, Rob Varty and Craig Herring now. The easy ones to see, flat cap on, that is Rob Varty, who we are riding with at the moment. Kai Hurst is the map cap backwards with the red and black chevrons, the stripes on his back. Then the 2 riders together. First of all, Craig Genther. Let's show you Craig. You can tell Craig, because Craig is sat with the arc of the DI disc on and on the Cervelo. Behind Mr. Herring, well, Craig Herring on the zip disc and on the Wenger. But look who's coming to join the party. It is Simon Booth, the man who should have won several chain gangs by now. He's seen the chance to get across, going across on that Pinarello. And this is time for the kick. He wanted to get across to this group before it all went too squirrely. And the guys behind are going to have to watch what they're doing because Russ has just made that junction. Lindley's seen the danger. Lindley's coming as well. Now comes Jimmy Allen. He's going to make it. Osmond just about might make this group, but this is a strong group in front. Have they shed everybody else? So we've got really fast riders behind. So the riders behind are working to try and get that gap back down again. This is a real who's who. But if we take a little bit of a look up, you can just see the pressure has gone on. And that leading group has split the pack apart here on this climb. So it looks like a few sore legs after Tuesday's race as we go over the Aqueduct KOM. And you can just see these groups are now going to need to reform. You're going to need to get some bodies together or they're going to be in trouble. But the leading group, this initial group of 4, that attack by Herring, Varty, Hurst and Genther, that really did spark things up, and they've been joined by Tom Lindley, Jimmy Allen, Simon Booth and Russ Downing. But the man that they've shed is Kai Hurst. So Kai, who's in that initial breakaway, now has gone backwards. He's 6 seconds in deficit and he's in trouble behind because as this group came in and through, he's been distanced from that leading group. So it is at the moment Genther, Varty, James, Downing and co. all in there. Tom Lindley, just Tom Lindley squeezing into that group with Booth. They've currently got 6. It's 5 seconds on Kai Hurst. Kai reckons he can catch. This could be entertaining because he's got Osmond, Oliver, Morn and Cooper not that far behind. And if all 5 work together, they've got a chance. But it's going to take a massive effort to get back on your own. So Kai Hurst saying he can catch. Let's see if he can. His legs can do what his mouth has just promised, or has he said he can do something and his legs are not going to deliver on? It's going to take a massive effort here. He's up at 6 watts per kilo. He's squeezing in. He's got it down to 3 seconds at the moment. behind him. This group are coming as well. This will bolster the numbers in front. But remember, we still have the Petite KOM, a move up from Russ in the bunch in front as well. So looks like the pressure coming on the front. You see Rob Varty, Craig Genther, looks like Craig Herring doing the work behind them. Well, you can just see they're dangling behind Kai Hurst, really just hanging in the mix. He's back at 6 seconds now, and he went on his own. And the problem is that the 4 riders who could help him, who could spell him, it's 4 riders against what is currently 7. Really, really difficult to do the business and get across that gap, and it shows you can't afford to let gaps go at any point in time on the chain gang. The gaps open, you're in trouble. Now the big group behind, chasing the chasers, who are chasing the sole chaser, who's chasing the leader, is this group here. This is Rich Orrell's group. Rich, another of our regulars on the chain gang, another of our regular beacons. And great to see the man from the Stellaton on the chain gang again. This group are looking good at the moment. They've got some firepower in here with, I think it's going to be Simon Runnett, a.k.a. Sean, on the front of the group, really winding it up. But this is a big ask to get across here. Bale tucking in behind him. They are going to start snaffling up riders on the way through. It's not that far to get to the group in front. In fact, they're going to be on their heels any second. So here they come. It looks like we're going to see Oliver, Osman, Cooper and Morn getting caught by this pack behind just before we turn on to the big climb. Sandwiched in between, you can just see Kai Hurst in no man's land at the moment. The group behind have been caught by the big pack behind, and this is now a big chasing group. But it's going to be key to stay together as you come over the top. We have seen people take the gap on the way down, but you've got to make a decent distance on the top. We're not just talking 1 or 2 seconds. You've really got to push on as you come up over the top. At the moment, Russ just off the back of this group. So the moment Russ at the back of this pack. Meanwhile, you can just see the Kai Hurst is at 5 seconds just behind. Then it's going to be the group led by Runnett still, but this is a big mob who can sweep up. And if this pack gets hold of you on that way down, they're going to motor on the way down. Will they choose to hold it together? Can they keep pretty much everybody in this pack? This is a huge, huge group of riders, and they can see that yellow beacon. They must know that if they can hold this in together, they're going to be going. So currently this is 28, less the riders in front. So we're going to do a little bit of maths, never my strong point. So looks like there are 20 riders in the chasing group. Chasing group is 20. They're going to close down on Russ. They're going to close down on Kai. The riders they want are the riders at the front here. But 20 riders on that descent working together. If they're bolstered by Kai Hurst and Russ, that will make them 22. And that will leave these 5 in the danger zone on their own. Can they keep it going to the end? So here we go. The riders on the climb. It's 19 seconds to 20 riders. We've got Kai Hurst in between. In fact, 21 riders because Russ in with that pack. This is going to take some serious doing. They're going to try and stay clear of the rest of the group. I'm going to just try and get some kind of view back. We're just riding in with Tom Lindley at the moment. And they've got to the turn. That's Kai coming around the corner, I think, at the moment. In fact, it looks like that's going to be Jimmy Allen. Jimmy Allen has been shed from this group of 5. So Allen has been shed. Now Varty goes on the front. So you've got Jimmy Allen, Kai Hurst, Russ Downing all heading back. Meanwhile, Varty has opened a little bit of a gap. Can he maintain the pace? You can't just spurt your way up this climb. You've got to be able to set a decent pace. If you don't, you're going to end up in trouble. And I think he's just going to find he's going to lose the distance. Now, is Booth going to get this? Surely Simon Booth deserves a win on this chain gang. He's going to be really thinking this could be the day. Behind, you can see the gap has opened back up to Jimmy Allen, to Russ, and to the gang behind, but that is going to be 20 to 23 riders strong behind. So we have Varty in 1, Lindley in 2, Booth in 3, Genther in 4, Herring in 5, then Hurst in 6, then the rest of the pack coming, and those 4 are going to take this out at the moment. So we have 4 riders left in the mix. Simon, come on, mate. Is this going to be the one? Is this where it's going to count? So, Varty, Lindley, Genther, Booth. Then it's Herring, Hurst. And then the big pack of riders behind, containing Downing, containing Allen, containing Seeley. All of those big names in that pack, but the gaps are there. They are starting to fracture, though, in that big pack. Once again, Varty puts in a kick. It just pushes on to the front. Booth keeping a steady pace here. And behind it looks to me like Craig Genther just keeping it steady on this climb. He's holding a nice pace here. He's got 11 seconds from his back wheel back to Craig Herring. Now, Varty surging, then easing, surging, then easing. Meanwhile, Booth riding smoothly, Lindley riding smoothly, Herring riding smoothly. Is that going to be the tactic behind? Can Herring hold off the chase behind? Then it's Hurst. Then it's going to be George Cooper. He's got 7 seconds on Ian Bale. Then it's going to be Rich Orrell. Looks like Taylor Leach coming quite quickly. Jimmy Allen and Russ together at the moment. Looks like runner Donahoe in here with Ben Cokin. Then a little bit of a gap back, Pillsworth and Raccoon. A little further back, Wilson and Seeley. Tim Cooper and Dubash. Then it's going to be Forbes, Langmead. Looks like the yellow beacon from the women's from the WOW DCG on the climb as well. The entirety of the Donny chain gang on the climb, but the leaders at the moment right up at the front, it is Varty who is leading this group up here. He's setting the pace, but it's not a smooth tempo from Varty, and that means that the rest of them are going to find that difficult to deal with. They go around the right hand turn. The downside of kicking and easing and kicking and easing, it does some serious damage to your legs. And Mr. Smooth is on the front as we see Booth starting to stretch his legs out the saddle. Now Varty kicks to go with him, and so does Lindley. But the moment that they ease off, they're going to be in trouble as they come up to the top. They're all pushing over the top here. We're riding in with Booth at the moment, and it's Lindley. He's set a new PR. He's got the fastest time up the climb. The question is that solo move going to work? Is it going to distance anybody? I think these 4 are going to come in together, and then it's going to come down to who's got the kick. Will it be Varty, Genther, Lindley or Booth? Great to see the attack go clear. And of the original attackers, Simon Booth, Craig Genther and Rob Varty are the originals in there. Lindley bridged up and then held in. Booth has to squeeze. He's got to get into that stitching. Then it's about resting enough on the way down without losing too much time. They're about 50 seconds up on the nearest chaser, 54 seconds up. So they've got the gap at the moment. 4 riders at the front. Clear. Chase behind. In 5th place, it's Kai Hurst. 6th place, Herring. 7th place, George Cooper. 8th place, Ian Bale. 9th is Simon Runnett. 10th at the moment is Russ Downing. 11th is Cokin. 12th is Leach. But all that could change as they make their way down this slope. Remember, 46.9k is the distance that they have to travel in total. And that means that it's ticking down very, very quickly in D2.5k at the moment to go to get in to that finish. So 2.5k to decide which of these 4 is going to take top spot on the way through. And now there'll be some nerves jangling in there. Well, the rider at the back's just Tom Lindley. He's one of the real quick sprinters. We know he's got the power. Craig Genther goes on the offensive, ripping it up, then eases off again, just trying to numb some of those legs out. Lindley sits behind Booth here. Now Booth thinking, should he go across? Is he going to make Lindley work here? Are they going to try and numb some of that young speed out of Lindley? We know he's got a kick on him, but they've got to work him over, I think, because the big favourite here with the big kick is Lindley. Varty probably the second favourite in terms of the kick, but then we've got Genther and Booth both doing another phenomenal ride. We've seen them on the offensive, and at the moment Lindley is playing poker here at the back. This is a dangerous game to play, because it looks to me like the gap is going, and you can just see that he's starting to kick on. Now Booth has got to go with him on this descent. He can't afford to let that gap go on the run down. But at the moment, Lindley has left this a little late here. Can he get back across? Genther is starting to push. He would much rather go in a 2-up sprint than a 3-up sprint, or a 4-up, I'm sure. And they've got a little bit of a gap here. It's at 3 seconds. And it looks to me like Booth is having to do the work here. Lindley has not taken this up, and he is playing a very cool hand at the moment. The gap is 123 back to Hurst. The chaser behind is Herring on a second behind him. Then it's going to be George Cooper. Then the big pack of riders now. Craig Genther has been an eternal attacker with Varty time and time again. The distance is running down. We are now coming into those final few 100 metres to go. As you just see, Craig Genther just interestingly going for a power-up at this stage. And Varty is very smartly not going on the front. If somebody puts the power up, you leave him hanging on the front. Now Varty starts to kick. He's back off again. They're just sitting and rolling now. Varty's got an aero. He's put it in just coming into the sprint. It's 190 metres when we hit the line. So at the moment, it is Varty who's gone. He's got the aero power up at the moment. Has Genther got any response to this? It's sub 190. It's about 160 metres to go now. Craig Genther is coming. Will he get this fast enough? That line is on its way. You can just see Varty goes in and through the line. He takes that victory. Behind it's going to be Craig Genther who gets it. Then it's a chase behind to Lindley. So it's Varty in 1, Genther in 2, Lindley in 3, Booth in 4. Four of the aggressive attacking riders of the chain gang who really do make it something special. Congratulations to all 4. A deserved victory by any one of those 4. This time round it was Varty, Genther, Lindley and Booth coming in and through. Now, 2 chasers, 2-up sprint, mano a mano. Kai Hurst versus Craig Herring. Going to be interesting. This Craig's got a kick on him. So has Kai Hurst. Both on the same disc. Slightly different frames. Nothing to choose in power. But it looks to me like Kai Hurst has got an aero. But look at this. Herring is coming over the top of him. He's going over the top of him. He could make this stick. Oh, it's so close. What a finish there. Herring with the timing. Hurst with the power up. Not sure who got that. We're going to play that one back, that's for sure. Now another big kick. Russ has gone for this. He's going to show the youngster how it's done. It's going to be Downing. Our camera is struggling to stay with Russ. Here he comes. So the yellow beacon takes it from Donahoe. Going over the line. Then Martin. Then Leach. Osborne. Bales comes through Singleton. Run it. George Cooper in there as well. Great sprint finish. Next up is going to be Ben Cokin. Might not have any kind of voice left at the end of that. End of this. Can make the voiceover afterwards fun. Right, so Ben Cokin squeezing his way into the line, working hard for that finish. Then it's going to be Greg Billsworth, Raccoon, Oliver. So a 3-up sprint following Cokin into the line. Pillsworth's on the front. They're coming. Are they going to be able to come fast enough? It's going to be really close. Oh, just not that time. Greg Pillsworth holds off Oliver and Raccoon. Behind then, well, this man we know has got a sprint on him. Tim Cooper's gone hard early here to make sure he's going to get this. He's definitely going to get it as he comes in to the line. So it is going to be Cooper who's going to get that behind then. It looks like we've got Wilson on his way. So Wilson goes through. Then it's going to be Dr. D going through, our fastest female finisher of the day. The one and only Tracy Seeley, the Terminator. Terminates the opposition and sets a new sprint jersey time on the way through. Taking the lap time, taking the climbers jersey and taking the sprint jersey at the same time. Next in Neil Morn, taking the sprint from Stevens. Forbes following onwards. So Forbes with the gap, you can just see our helicopter shot there, just showing he's got the road all to himself as he comes into that marina, goes in and through. Behind, it's going to be Keyworth now. He's got a big sprinter behind him in the shape of Canham. We know Canham's got some monstrous power, but that is a big-ass 7 seconds in 190 metres. I don't think that's going to happen at this stage. So in he comes, 190 metres. He can roll in here. Canham's going to start to wind this up, but I don't think he's going to be able to close that time down. Don't forget, make sure you go on to social media, onto Facebook, post up if you get yourself a new personal best, you get a new FTP, as we see Andy Keyworth coming through, another great ride by him. Chris Cannon with another super push coming into the line behind. Well, our women's yellow beacon has come out of the saddle, and it looks like has got the jump here on Langmead, using that power up. So our WOW DCG yellow beacon comes through. Emma coming through the finish line, and then it's going to be Langmead coming through. Then it's going to be Conley. So Sean Ferrin going to be our next rider in to the line. Another good ride by Sean. Another day done in the office for him. It's going to be a good old sprint here. Now this is going to be very entertaining. Could have Rich Langmead on, not back on next week. So yeah, we'll definitely see you in September if we don't see it out on the real roads on the tarmac. Now this is going to be interesting. We can just see Davis going in over the top here. He's got a little bit of a gap, but behind him he's got Cannon, who's I don't think got an answer to the power of Davis. Davis puts in a phenomenal sprint. Then it's Cannon Wharfdale Phil with his trademark big kick just coming in ahead of Day. Then it's going to be Richards. Those 5 riders fighting it out. We're going to see a 2-up sprint here. Can Sir Rodney take this? He's got John Garford on his heels. John, we know will sprint. This is going to be close. We can pretty much stay side by side, I think, for this. Look at Sir Rodney winding that gear up there. So Sir Rodney takes it there from John Garford, both setting new PBs behind. Then it's going to be Pritchard. He's got Stefano Borelli on his heels. Borelli continues to push, but it's going to be Pritchard's. Then Stefano comes in and through. Great riding by Stefano again. So Stefano Borelli coming through, new PB as well. So super strong sprinter Sonia has the gap on a lone rider. I don't think she's going to need to harness that sprint today. So Sonia, another of our regulars from Bolsover District on Donny Cheng, doing an awesome ride here today. Chased to the line by Lone Rider. Lone Rider's been on since the very early days, as has Keith Hayward. The pair of them are real strong supporters of the Donny Cheng, and great to see both of them in action once again. UPB, in fact, from Lone Rider as he came in through the line that time. So thank you very much, guys. We're going to hopefully see you next week. In the meantime, let's have a little look at what's happening behind. Looks like Gary Patterson and Andy Hawes are on the run down. Now, this will be a sprint because we know that Andy has got a monster kick on him. So has Gary. The man in front, Bobby Mason, has gone early, and Bobby has got a gap on them. But the two behind can both put monster numbers. But I don't think they're going to close 18 seconds down at this stage. Bobby Mason riding another strong ride here in to that go. And Bobby just coming in underneath the bridge. So Bobby on his way in, being chased by Andy Hawes and Gary Pattison. We're going to follow Bobby in and through the line first of all. So don't forget, make sure you go onto the Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe to the Downhill Cycling YouTube channel. If you want to catch up with me, then I'm going to be streaming the XCE, the UCI XCE Eliminator. That's coming out on Saturday evening live. You can follow it on City Mountain Bike. You catch up with me then. Also streaming some e-cycling on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing how the riders get on that as well. Big money competition up for stake, up for grabs. Now, Bobby Mason coming in through the line, being chased to the line by Pattison, who's got a march on Andy Hawes here. This is the sprint from the red beacon behind. He's coming at Pattison. Can he close him down? It's going to be so close as they come in, but Pattison holds it through the line there. He takes it from Andy Hawes. What a great ride by both these riders. And those two have been working so hard. Great to see Gary Pattison improving week on week, and exactly why we do the chain gang, to watch people turn themselves inside out week on week. A massive thank you to Andy Hawes. Make sure you follow him on social media. Andy from Sweet Spot, of course, the man behind Horse Tours and Horse Talks. And of course, you can go ride with Andy through the summer, I'm sure, on the Squadra rides, and join him and Russ out on the rides. So Andy rolling his way in and through. Another amazing job done as a red beacon, and the riders now heading into the warm down, which just leaves me to say, I've got to say a massive thank you to everybody who makes the chain gang happen. A massive thank you to everybody who's ridden. Don't forget, we have one more week to go. If you want to catch up with what I'm up to in between, make sure you follow me, Matt Fixer Payne, on Facebook, on Zwift, on Strava. Don't forget, of course, to catch up with me on the World Cup, the UCI World Cup, the XCE coming from Abu Dhabi. That is on Saturday evening. Sunday evening, going to be busy with another stream as well. More e-cycling, a big money competition. Putting the words to the action on that on Sunday. And then we're back next week for the very last week of the Donny Chain Gang before we take a break for the summer. We've been going 2 years straight. Next week we have Jimmy, Allen and Russ leading. We have two great routes, and we have our OTE giveaways. So a massive thank you from me, from Russ, from Emma, from Jimmy, and from all of our leaders, from Alison Kinlock, who's been leading the WOW DCG as well. Please, guys, stay safe. Have a great weekend. And if we don't see you before, to catch up with you on the final week of the Donny Chain Gang before our summer break next week.